So guys, once again, if you can, please subscribe, share, comment, and smash the like button on this video. So guys, this next news story is coming from Bradford ways. And twin brothers who were caught dealing crack cocaine on the streets of West Yorkshire have been jailed. Mohsin, Khurshid, and his brother Hassan Khurshid, who are both 26, were arrested back in May 2021 after they were spotted by police in a Ford Focus, turning up to hand over drugs to a female addict. Bradford Crown Court heard that officers later stopped the car and arrested Mohsin, who had been driving, and Hassan, who was in the rear. The prosecutor Abdul Shakur said Hassan had 9 wraps of crack cocaine on him, and police also recovered a mobile phone which was linked to a drug dealing line. When officers later searched a bedroom at their home, they found £300 in cash, weighing scales, empty D-leg bags, and what was described as an unofficial business card. Analysis later revealed that one of the phone seized was taking nearly 100 calls a day, with the vast majority of calls lasting less than a minute. Following their arrest in May 2021, the brothers were released under investigation, but Mr. Shakur said the banned driver Mohsin Khurshid went on to be involved in an offence of dangerous driving just 2 months later. The judge, Andrew Hatton, was shown police dashcam footage of Mohsin driving a Seat Leon at more than double the speed limit during an early evening police pursuit lasting 7 minutes. In July 2021, Mohsin had initially stopped the car, which contained 2 female passengers, but the footage captured him driving off over a grass verge and pavements to avoid being questioned. In the subsequent pursuit, which ended in the Girlington area, he drove on the wrong side of the road, ignored red lights, and even stopped on 2 separate occasions to let the passengers out. At one point, 2 of his tyres were deflated, but he continued to drive until he parked the car and tried to escape on foot. The court heard he was arrested, and Judge Hatton said it had been an appalling piece of sustained bad driving during which many lives had been put at risk. The judge expressed his amazement that the maximum sentence for dangerous driving was still only 2 years in jail. After Mohsin Khurshid's arrest, the police found 2 wraps of crack cocaine in the Seat Leon. So, Mohsin of Bradford was jailed for a total of 4 years after he admitted being concerned in the supply of crack cocaine, dangerous driving, and possession of crack cocaine. He was also banned from driving for 4 years following his release from prison, and he must take an extended driving test. His twin brother, Hassan, was jailed for 3 years after he also pleaded guilty to being concerned in the supply of crack cocaine. The judge said that the mobile phone evidence showed that the brothers had been heavily involved over a significant period of time in drug dealing. So guys, it was also mentioned in court by the prosecutor that both brothers gave false details, and they persisted with this until the results of a fingerprint scanner became known to identify which brother was which. And it was also heard that both brothers had a conviction for possession with a psychoactive substance with intent. The defense for Mohsin said he was immature, he panicked and sped off because he had drugs in the car. Character references spoke of the support he was giving to his family, and he regretted his actions, and there had been a considerable delay in bringing the cases to sentence. For Hassan, his defense stated that his learning disability made him vulnerable to getting involved in the drug dealing. He was the rear passenger and not handing out the wraps of crack cocaine. It was low-level, unsophisticated drug dealing. So you may be wondering, how did the cops already have their fingerprints on the system? That's because they were actually caught before back in 2020 drug dealing. So they were caught on CCTV on Great Horton Road, drug dealing outside a fried chicken shop. While Hassan was spotted entering the shop, Mohsin remained outside, and PCSO saw him reach inside his hoodie and pass something to another man before receiving something in exchange. When officers arrested him, they found 8 small bags of cannabis with a street value of around £170 and a burner phone which he tried to smash. A search of his home uncovered 8 bags of spice with a street value of around £2,000, described as a significant quantity of the very addictive and destructive drug. And on the packages of the spice, both men's fingerprints were found on it. So for that, Mohsin was sentenced to 13.5 months and Hassan to 10.5 months. So guys, this is a new story coming from Bradford ways. So guys, this next news story is coming from Cambridgeshire. And a gang who use kids to run their county lines operation have been jailed. On October the 1st, 2020, police received a call reporting two children, a 15-year-old and her 16-year-old boyfriend, missing after they didn't return to their home in Peterborough that afternoon. 3 days later, they were discovered in Huntingdon by police at what is thought to have been a trap house used to buy, sell, and consume drugs. Police took the children into their protection, where the girl revealed she had Class A drugs on her, which she had been given and forced to hide within her body by a man known as YF, 25-year-old William Fernandez. While with police, the girl was texted threats from a 20-year-old Tanvir Chowdhury about Fernandez wanting his drugs back. The duo told officers how they had left their home after an argument and stayed at a house in Huntington with a man named Freddie, a 42-year-old Frederick Kufan Derori. Upon arriving in Huntington, the teenagers were picked up from the train station by a man named Snoops, 32-year-old Tahir Sheraz. At the house in King's Gardens, they were told by Fernandez they could live there on one condition, and that condition being that they deal drugs. He gave them a burner phone and instructed them to answer it by saying A1, a reference to the A1 drug line he was running. Over the 3 days, while they were missing, the girl was made to look after the drugs while the boy would carry out the sales in nearby streets. Fabiana Gomez, who's 25, was arrested in November 2020 after being identified as part of the drug dealing operation alongside Kevin Gobi, who would attend the house in King's Gardens to package wraps of Class A given to him by Fernandez. He was arrested at his home in Cambridge, where a search of his house uncovered bags of cannabis which he claimed he purchased for himself in bulk to make it cheaper. Fernandez appeared at Cambridge Crown Court, where he was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison after previously admitting 2 counts of requiring a person to perform compulsory labour, being concerned in the supply of crack cocaine and heroin, and possession of cannabis. Chowdhury of Peterborough appeared alongside Fernandez and was sentenced to 2 years and 2 months in prison. He had previously pleaded guilty to being concerned in the supply of crack cocaine and heroin and sending threatening communications with intent to cause distress. At the same court, Kufan Derori, Sheraz, Gomez and Gobi were each sentenced. Kufan Dori was jailed for 1 year and 3 months after pleading guilty to allowing premises to be used for the supply of heroin and crack cocaine. Sheraz of Peterborough was jailed for 4 years and 3 months after being found guilty of being concerned in the supply of heroin and crack cocaine. He was cleared of 2 counts of requiring a person to perform compulsory labour. Gomez was jailed for 3 years and 7 months after admitting being concerned in the supply of crack cocaine and heroin and possession of cannabis. And Gobi was handed 4 years and 1 month in prison after pleading guilty to possession with intent to supply cannabis, 2 counts of arranging or facilitating the travel of a person for exploitation, and being concerned in the supply of crack cocaine and heroin. Detective Constable Oliver Campbell, who investigated, said, "I would like to thank the victims in this case for their ongoing support with what has been an incredibly long and complex investigation. I would urge parents, carers and guardians to familiarise themselves with the signs of county lines drug dealing and child criminal exploitation and raise any concerns with the police." So guys, this is a new story coming from Cambridgeshire ways. In a new story coming from London ways, 2 men have been locked up for a combined total of 13 years for the manslaughter of a rapper who previously featured in a BBC documentary. Abiola Akerele, who's also known as Nata, who's 28 years old, died from stab wounds in December 2020 after being involved in an altercation outside his home. At an Old Bailey trial which concluded in July last year, Rayan Yassin Ali, who's 20, of East Ham, and Junaid Suleiman, who's 22, of Newham, were found not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter. The pair were sentenced a couple of days ago, with Suleiman receiving 9 years imprisonment with an extended licence period of 2 years, and Ali got 4 years in a young offenders institution with an extended licence period of 2 years. The court heard how Ali and Suleiman met on December the 9th, 2020, with the intention of meeting Abiola at his home in East Ham. Not long after 3 o'clock, one of the defendants phoned Abiola and arranged to meet at his address shortly after the defendants arrived, and during an altercation outside, Abiola was attacked and stabbed. He died around an hour later. CCTV analysis showed the suspects arriving and fleeing the scene, and they were subsequently arrested by detectives with phone records confirming their locations. Other evidence included a trainer and jogging bottoms from Ali, with Abiola's blood on it. In a victim impact statement, Abiola's mother said, "Abiola did not deserve what happened to him, no one does. I want the defendants to know the consequences of their actions. That day you have altered my life, all our lives. You have caused us so much pain and sorrow. Words cannot describe how your actions on that day have impacted us. You have cut us deep." Detective Chief Inspector Dave Wellams, who led the investigation, said Suleiman and Ali will now spend a long period of their young adult lives in prison. While this in no way can compensate Abiola's family and friends for their loss, I do hope it gives them some sense of justice has been served. So as a teenager, Abiola Acarelli, who's also known by the rap name Nata, featured in a BBC Panorama documentary On a Knife Edge, in which his mother spoke about her fear for her sons. So just want to say rest in peace, Nata, and my condolences go out to your family. And in a story coming from Wales, 2 men have been jailed for tying up a pensioner and threatening to cut off his fingers unless he gave them his PIN number. Wayne Wren is 42 and Michael Anthony is 45, tied up the 78-year-old widower as they stole money, bank cards and jewellery belonging to his late wife. The pair were caught when the victim raised the alarm and was seen on CCTV at a cash point with his card. Fingerprints were also left at the scene. Cardiff Crown Court heard how the 2 men tied up the widower at knife point and told him, "Give us your PIN, we'll cut your fingers off." The man had been asleep in bed when the mass raiders broke into his remote cottage. The prosecutor explained it was around 3:30 in the morning. The victim was asleep in his bedroom when he was woken up by a torch being shone in his face. One of them told him, "Don't move or we'll kill you." Michael Anthony had a knife he was brandishing and he was demanding money. Anthony then drove to a cash point to withdraw money while Wren stayed on guard at the house near Newport in Gwent before they later both fled. Police arrived to find the pensioner still tied up, with the entire ordeal lasting just over an hour. The defendants were on drugs at the time of the raid. So Wren and Anthony were jailed for 16 years each, with their sentences made up of a 12-year custodial term plus an extended term on licence of 4 years once they are released. So guys, there's a few stories coming out of the UK. Absolute madness. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.